With the dawn of the 6th generation of consoles, developers finally had the power and tools to bring a flood of movie-time games to life. Some became critical darlings, racking up awards and fan praise, while others faded into obscurity. But for every hit that made it to store shelves, some projects never saw the light of day. Games that, by all accounts, had the potential to be something special. One such game is Snake Plissken Escape, a title that had everything going for it, except the chance to exist. After the hugely successful release of Dead to Rights, Namco Hometech found itself standing at a crossroads. The game had proven its worth, carving out a place in the industry and giving the company both the confidence and the resources to push forward. A sequel was immediately greenlit, and a spin-off entered development as well. But within the halls of Namco Hometech, there was a sense of momentum, an unshaken belief that they could reach even higher. The success of Dead to Rights wasn't just a victory, it was a spark, igniting the drive to chase something bigger, bolder. The company wasn't content with simply continuing the franchise, they wanted to take a leap of ambition, to break through the boundaries of what had come before. For Andre Emerson, the path forward was clear. It was time to take a bold step, to bring his vision to someone who understood the essence of action, tension, and atmosphere. Not through intermediaries, not through corporate handshakes, he would take his ideas straight to the source. He would present them to John Carpenter himself. With a clear vision in mind, Andre Emerson devised the perfect plan, carefully tailoring his approach before reaching out to Carpenter, hoping the legendary filmmaker would respond. And then, against all odds, or perhaps as fate intended, Carpenter gave his approval. The script, the concept, the vision, he embraced it all. With Carpenter's blessing, the gears of production roared to life. What had begun as an ambitious dream was now set in motion, and Namco Hometech was no longer just making a game, they were forging a cinematic experience. Andre Emerson explains how it all began. I am a huge fan of the character and series, and I've wanted to do a Snake Plissken game for years. It wasn't until recently that all the necessary pieces fell into place. I needed the right development team and technology, which we now have. I also wanted to be able to work directly with John Carpenter, Kurt Russell, and Deborah Hill to create a truly authentic Snake Plissken experience. His right-hand man, Mike Kennedy, further expands on this, saying, "It was all Andrew's doing. He'd been a huge fan of the character and films, and we often talked about how cool it would be to do a Snake Plissken game while we were working on Dead to Rights and the shelved sequel. Dead to Rights was a nice success for Namco at the time, so they were open to his pitch and proposal. He did some expert networking and got a hold of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, explained the vision, and they were on board." Originally titled Snake Plissken Chronicles, the game relied on the Dead to Rights 2 engine to immerse players in the gritty, hard-edged world of Snake Plissken like never before. This was more than just a licensed adaptation, it was the kickstart for an entire franchise. After whatever negotiations were necessary, it was greenlit internally. At that point, we started outlining the feature set, campaign structure, and production plan right away. We started making concept art, storyboards, test animations, etc. built upon the Dead to Rights engine. Since we had added a lot of really cool features into the Dead to Rights build, we leveraged a lot of these advances in the design. From the outset, the project had the full backing of the legends themselves. Kurt Russell, John Carpenter, and Deborah Hill were not just passive names attached to the game, they were deeply entrenched in its development. Emerson made one thing clear: if something was going to be done with Snake, it had to go through the people who created him. John and Kurt are also creatively involved and want to ensure that we create the best Snake Plissken experience, Emerson explained. We met with them recently to review potential game mechanics, story concepts, and other creative elements. They offer lots of great ideas, both for gameplay and narrative direction. This was not just to be another forgettable, cash-grab movie-tie-in game. Namco Home Tech was adamant they would not settle for a lifeless adaptation or a hollow marketing ploy. Snake Plissken Chronicles had to be something more. It needed to feel authentic, with an original story, fresh characters, and new locations. A game that stood on its own, not just as an extension of a film, but as a worthy chapter in Snake Plissken's legacy. The stories will be completely original, exploring Snake's past, present, and future. Over the series, fans will be able to play through adventures that explore events in Snake's life, such as how Snake lost his eye, what happened in Kansas and Cleveland, the Battle of Leningrad, etc. Andrew Emerson said. Mike Kennedy further expanded upon the story, saying, "It was gonna be awesome. It was set after Escape from LA, after the big crash dropping the rest of the country into literally the same level of desolation as we'd seen in New York and LA. We had a plot that would take him across the continent in yet another manipulated mission for a questionable authority, but since we'd have such a larger canvas, longer running time, and unlimited special effects budget, we were able to get big with everything. We did explore his past and even had a flashback sequence to the Leningrad Rouge that suggests how he lost his eye. Old friends and foes come into play, some from the novel, some from the unproduced animated feature screenplay, and many original creations of our own. The contract with Namco was for 3 games, so we were aiming for a trilogy with some big ramifications. I think it was the cornerstone of John, Deborah, and Kurt's hope to keep the character alive, fresh and big profile, for years and years to come. Planning for Snake Plissken Chronicles began in early 2003, with the game officially announced to the public on August 1st of that year. However, full-scale development wouldn't truly ignite until early 2004. What began as blueprints and ambition soon took shape in the form of early prototypes, marking the first real steps toward realizing Snake's digital resurrection. According to Mike Kennedy, 2 mini-levels were created alongside a host of custom Snake-specific character models, animations, and unique mechanics. The industry was beginning to feel the impact of stealth action gaming, and the developers took note. All of that Splinter Cell stuff that was just starting to heat up, Kennedy recalled. Those 2 mini-levels were fully playable, albeit without any scripted story events. Just sandbox shooting galleries proving the earliest unique features. We had the whole campaign outlined, with concept art for many of the key locations and characters defined. From the high-octane trailer alone, it was clear Snake Plissken Chronicles was shaping up to be one of the biggest games of 2005. Around this time, the game underwent a critical transformation, shedding its original title in favor of a new one, Snake Plissken Escape. The legendary outlaw was being crafted to move like a true force of nature, fast, lethal, and utterly ruthless. Snake could execute brutal disarms, dispatch enemies in viscerally satisfying ways, and move with an unmatched blend of finesse and aggression. The game carried the spirit of Dead to Rights, incorporating its signature mechanics, human shields, slow-motion dives, and dual-wielded gunplay, but this was no carbon copy. Despite false claims over the years, Snake Plissken's Escape was never meant to be a mere reskin of Dead to Rights. It was envisioned as something bold, fresh, and distinctly its own, a new chapter in Snake's legacy, built with original mechanics, an original story, and a unique identity that stood apart from anything that came before it. The early 2000s seemed destined to mark Snake Plissken's triumphant return to the cultural zeitgeist. John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and Kurt Russell were not merely revisiting the world they had built with Escape from New York and Escape from LA, they were expanding it. This was to be the Snake Plissken Chronicles, a bold multimedia endeavor that would span comic books, a video game, and even an anime, all revolving around Russell's battle-hardened war hero turned legendary outlaw. While Snake Plissken's Escape was well into development, the first piece of this grand vision materialized: the comic book series John Carpenter's Snake Plissken Chronicles, which hit shelves in 2003. But what about the anime? Production IG, the renowned studio behind Ghost in the Shell, was poised to bring Snake to life in stunning hand-drawn animation. The anime, simply titled Snake, was set to be a gritty, high-stakes addition to Plissken's saga. A promotional poster was created and co-writer Corey Mitchell, alongside his right-hand man William Wilson, had painstakingly crafted the script. Originally sprawling in 128 pages, Deborah Hill herself helped refine it down to a lean, razor-sharp 18 pages. With that, production kicked in full force. In an interview with Sci-Fi Wire, Corey Mitchell revealed that Snake would take place in the year 2020, 7 years after the events of Escape from LA. He painted a picture of Plissken's next impossible mission. Snake is forced by an evil casino owner in New Las Vegas to assassinate the president, who currently resides in Lynchburg, Virginia. However, things get messy fast after Snake is smuggled into Lynchburg and quickly becomes entangled in a battle between the rebels and the president's fascist regime. Yet, despite the immense potential, Snake never saw the light of day. Production never advanced beyond a few sketches in a 30-second video teaser, a clip now seemingly lost to time. The tragic passing of Deborah Hill in 2005 shook the foundation of the project. Those involved felt that the most respective course of action was to let the dream rest, rather than continue without one of its key architects. But what about Snake Plissken's Escape? What became of the game that once seemed destined to resurrect one of cinema's most iconic anti-heroes? Just as Snake Plissken's Escape seemed to be sailing smoothly through development, it abruptly hit a wall, one that it would never recover from. The project was halted, then ultimately cancelled, vanishing into obscurity. For years, the prevalent theory circulating online was simple: the game's demise was a casualty of Deborah Hill passing, much like the ill-fated anime. But the truth is something else entirely. At the time, Namco Homtech was juggling multiple high-profile projects, including both a Dead to Rights spin-off and the true sequel to Dead to Rights. But just as these games neared critical momentum, Namco Japan made a seismic shift in strategy. The company was now pivoting hard toward third-party development, casting aside in-house projects that no longer aligned with their new direction. Snake Plissken's Escape was not immune to this shift. The game, along with other two Dead to Rights titles, was unceremoniously scrapped, not because of creative struggles, not because of tragedy, but because of a corporate redirection. For years, the true story remained buried, lost in speculation and half-truths. But then, Evan Halley unearthed an interview, one where Mike Kennedy finally shed light on the real events that led to Snake Plissken's Escape's demise. After the merger of Bandai and Namco in 2006, whatever flickering hopes remained for Snake Plissken's Escape were swiftly extinguished. The company had moved on, and with it, any chance of resurrecting Snake in the world of video games. What was once envisioned as a bold new frontier for the legendary outlaw had become nothing more than a ghost, a missed opportunity lost to the tides of corporate restructuring. The team behind Snake Plissken's Escape still looks back on the past with a sense of unfinished business and lingering regret that their bold vision never had the chance to come to life. For Andre Emerson and Mike Kennedy, this was more than just a game. It was a dream realized, only to be taken away before it could truly breathe. For fans, it was more than just a cancellation, it was a lament, a painful what could have been. Snake Plissken's Escape had the potential to take the character's high-stakes, anti-establishment energy to new heights, blending cinematic storytelling with visceral, action-packed gameplay. Instead, it faded into obscurity, a forgotten relic of a time when games dared to dream a little bigger.